Hello, future engineers, subscribers, viewers, and students. Here is another lecture video and sample problem videos on the applications of finding the resultant of concurrent force systems, 2D and 3D, as well as the applications of vector product, or we have vector product, cross product, and the scalar triple product. So problem 5. The resultant of the four forces is directed as shown. Find the magnitude of P and Q. So observe that in this given figure, this is the original figure. Then this one and 2 is to be set up because force P passes through this point. So the slope is 1 rightward 2 units and upward 1 unit. So 2, 1, square root of 5. So this is part of the solution, not part of the figure. Then another because this is horizontal, so slope should not be given. This is purely downward and vertical, so no specified point of application, point of where this force passes through. For force Q, it is pointing from this point to this corner here. So that means 3 units downward, 3 units rightward, or simply 1, 1, square root of 2. We can reduce the distance to 1, 1, and therefore the hypotenuse is square root of 2. Rx is summation forces x, and the resultant, this is the specified resultant. It has a magnitude of 418 pounds, and the angle specified is it is down to the right, and the angle it makes with the horizontal is 61.75 degrees as given in this problem. So therefore the x component of r is positive 418 cosine of 61.75 degrees, and it is the sum of forces or sum of x components of all forces in this system. So beginning with this force P here, its x component is positive. It is magnitude of P times 2 over square root of 5. Then this is purely to the left, so minus P. This has no component, x component, then plus the x component of Q, which is magnitude of Q, times 1 x component of distance divided by distance, square root of 2. So simplifying, we have negative 0.10557 P, combined value of this, then plus Q over square root of 2 equals 197.85. So call that equation 1. Then summation forces y equals 0, beginning with this force P here. The vertical component is P times 1 over square root of 5 times 1 over square root of 5. By the way, the value of Ry is downward, so negative 418 sine of 61.75 degrees. So it is again equal to the y component of this force, P times 1 over square root of 5. Then this has no y component. Then minus 200. Then minus the y component of Q, which is Q sine 61 Q times 1 over square root of 2. Simplifying, so we have P over square root of 5 minus Q over square root of 2 equals negative 161.21, where negative 161.21 is 200 minus 418 sine of 61.75 degrees. Solving equations 1 and 2 simultaneously with your high-tech calculator, we obtain P equals 107.2 pounds and Q equals 295.8 pounds. So let's have the 3D or three-dimensional representation of a vector, rectangular representation. So let's consider this XYZ system. Then the force is directed from point O to the opposite corner. We imagine that this diagonal of the rectangular parallelepiped is is the opposite points of the corners of this imaginary rectangular parallelepiped. So the magnitude of the force is F, and the distance from O to this point here is D, of course, the longest line. So we will call these dimensions X, Y, and Z because the initial point is the origin. So X minus 0 is still X, Y minus 0, Y coordinate here is 0, is Y. Then Z minus Z coordinate here is 0, so that's why it is also Z. Then these are the angles, direction angles. The angle that F makes with the positive x-axis is theta x. The angle it makes with the positive y-axis is theta y. And the angle it makes with the z-axis is theta z. If the force is in the first octant, then all these angles are acute angles. Then we draw from the tip of this force, we draw sides which makes those sides perpendicular to the other axis, x, y, and z axis. So this is the x component of the force. That's 90 degrees here. 90 degrees because this is, imagine you're in a room. So this is the line diagonal on the right wall, which lies on the vertical plane. This is the bottom line of the front, and this vertical diagonal line on this vertical wall will be perpendicular to each other at this point. So to demonstrate that, if this is the original wall, imagine this is the original wall, and this edge is this edge here. If it rotates forward about this base here, then the angle remains 90 degrees. Take note of that. So this is this angle of rotation here, so this is still 90. So 90 degrees, this one. And the line from here to that corner there is imaginary line where the force is directed from the origin to that line. So that's why that's 90 degrees, still 90. So cosine of theta x is fx over f. In terms of the dimensions, cosine theta x is x, which is equal to that over hypotenuse, which is denoted by d. So equating cosine theta x, fx over f equals x over d, and interchanging this position so that we can easily remember the constant ratio, fx over x equals f over d. Right? So we're going to interpret this so that we can easily recall this. Fx, x component of distance divided by x component of force divided by x component of distance equals force over distance where the force is directed to. Likewise, this is the horizontal diagonal line on the ceiling. It's horizontal, right? And this y-axis is vertical. Therefore, the horizontal line and the vertical line intersect at 90 degrees. So obviously, it's the same as here. So that's why cosine of theta y equals, this is fy divided by f. And in terms of distance, this distance is equal to y and divided by d. Cosine theta y is also y over d. So fy over f equals y over d. Interchanging this position, so fy over y equals f over d. Same as this. So y component of force divided by y component of distance equals force over distance. Length of line where f is directed to. Then we have here a line from this corner to the tip of the force, and again based on these results, it's 90 degrees here or we imagine that this is the z-axis, and this is the line, and this is FZ. So FZ is perpendicular to that line, just perpendicular to that diagonal of this wall here, and this is FZ. And we also pattern it from the preceding two results. It should have the same ideas. That is, cosine of theta z equals Fz over F. And it is also equal to z over d. So cosine theta z is Fz over F equals x equals z over d, equating Fz over F equals z over d. Then interchanging position, Fz over z equals F over d. So since F over d is a constant ratio, then we write this as a continued equation. Fx over x equals Fy over y equals z component of force over z component of distance equals F over d. And the ratio F over d is constant, and that is equal to called F force multiplier. So Fx therefore is F magnitude of F times quantity x over d. Remember, x over d is cosine theta x, or Fx is x component of distance times force multiplier. So Fx equals F times x over d, F cosine theta x. Fy is F y over d, or F cosine of theta y. Fz is F times z over d, or F times cosine theta z. So therefore, if the force is directed from point S, means starting point, with coordinates xs, ys, g sub s, to point T, the terminal point of the force xt, yt, zt, the distance d can be written as d equals square root of quantity x terminal minus x sub s square plus quantity y sub t minus y sub s square, and plus g sub t minus g sub s square. Of course, the first two terms is in 2D, delta x square plus delta y square. Then if it is 3D, we just include this square root of g sub t minus g sub s square. Delta x would be this, supposedly, if this is s and that is t. Delta x, this is delta y, and this is delta z. So this diagonal would be square root of delta x square plus delta z square, or square root of quantity xt minus xs square plus g sub t minus g sub s square. Then this distance is delta y, which is yt minus y sub s square. The diagonal of the bottom of the base and this y distance here, delta y, are perpendicular to each other. Therefore, the distance d is square root of the square of this distance, which is quantity square root of this distance rather, which is quantity square root of xt minus xs square plus quantity gt minus d sub s square. Then plus, by Pythagoras theorem, plus the square of this delta y, which is yt minus d sub y sub s quantity square. So that's why distance is equal to that. So Fx equals F times xt minus xs over distance, F cosine theta x. So cosine theta x is this component of distance divided by this distance, or x component of force divided by F. That's the same. Fy is F times quantity yt minus ys over d, or F cosine of theta y. And Fz is F quantity zt minus g sub s over d, or F cosine theta z. So by Pythagoras theorem, this is this diagonal in terms of the components of force, square root of Fx square plus Fz square. In terms of distance, delta x square plus delta z square. Then this is Fy, that is Fy. Then 90 degrees here, 90 degrees, so this is a right triangle. Therefore, the magnitude of f square equals the square of this, fx square plus fz square plus the square of that leg, fy square. So square root of quantity fx square plus fz square, close square, plus fy square equals f square. Simplifying, fx squared plus fy squared plus fz squared equals f squared. Divide everything by f squared. So fx over f quantity squared plus fy over y quantity squared plus fz over z over f quantity squared equals f over f quantity squared. We note that this is cosine theta x, so cosine theta x quantity squared, or simply cosine squared theta x plus cosine squared theta y plus cosine squared theta z equals 1. So it means the cosine of this angle that the force makes with the x-axis, for example, this is direction cosine. Cosine theta x, direction cosine. Cosine theta y, direction cosine. Cosine theta z, direction cosine. And this is supposedly the magnitude of the unit vector of f, x component of the unit vector of f, y component of the unit vector of f, and the z component of the unit vector of f. So cosine theta x, cosine theta y, cosine theta z are direction cosines. They are interpreted as the x, y, and z components of the unit vector of the force. So when fx equals fy equals fz, then it follows theta x, theta y equals theta z. And you substitute it here. It is the angle when they are equal is inverse cosine of 1 over square root of 3. Supposedly plus minus 1 over square root of 3. But let's just use the positive. So therefore, it is 54.74 degrees when they are all equal. So that's it for this video. Remember that the x component of force is f cosine of theta x, or f times delta x over distance. So, or x component of distance times force multiplier. Then the y component, the z component can be written also in the same pattern or same manner as fx. So problem 6. Express each of the force described or shown in the figure in vector form. So we have part A, B, part B, part C. For that case, part B is just stated. Then, as another problem, if point A in parts, this is point A, this is also point A, and this may also be point A. In point A in parts B and C, so B and C only, coincide with the origin in part A, so this is the origin, so this is also A. Determine the resultant force in vector form and the direction angles. So direction angles, the angles theta x, theta y, theta z of the resultant force. So we will call the force in part A as F, and the force in part B as Q, and in part C S, and the resultant R. So for 6a, this is the original figure, this is now the solution. So we have here the vertical plane of the 380 Newton force. It is directed backward, up, and to the left. So backward, negative z component, up, positive y component, to the left, negative x component. So we first imagine that because this is a right triangle, we solve this base of this right triangle, which is hypotenuse, times, because this is the given angle 40 degrees, it is equal to that. So opposite of 40, so there it is equal to hypotenuse sine of 40 degrees, that's fxz. So fxz is 380 sine of 40 degrees. I'll just put it that way. Then we can actually solve for fx directly, but I want to explain on how to compute the other components in a detailed manner. It's up to you if you want to solve it directly in just one equation. So this is now the top view. showing fxz, which is this. So this is still the x-axis, and because this is the top view, this is the z-axis, the positive z direction. So this is fxz, which is 380 sine 40 degrees. This is fx, which is leftward, so it's negative. This is fz, which is opposite to the z-axis, so that's also negative. So from the figure, fx is hypotenuse, fxz, negative, because fx is leftward, negative 380 sine 40 degrees, then times cosine of 50 degrees, because that's 50. Fx therefore is negative 157.0 newtons. Then Fy, this is Fy, it's obvious from this right triangle here, this is 90 degrees here, this is equal to that. So it is hypotenuse cosine, because Fy is adjacent of 40 degrees. So hypotenuse 380, cosine of 40 degrees, so 291.1 newtons. Then finally, Fz is again negative, hypotenuse, so negative of hypotenuse Fxc, negative of 380 sine 40 degrees. Then Fz is opposite of 50, so times sine of 50 degrees. So it is negative 187.1 newtons. Therefore, F in vector form is equal to quantity negative 157.0 I plus 291.1 J minus 187.1 K. Then we proceed to part B. A force of magnitude 640 newtons, assuming that force is Q, is directed from point A, negative 245, to point B, 1, negative 26. So we express that in vector form, and the magnitude is 640. In vector form, it is magnitude times x component in vector form negative 2. So it is terminal minus initial. So 1 minus negative 2 is positive 3. So that's why 1 minus negative 2 is positive 3i. Magnitude, quantity 3i. Then negative 2 minus 4, so negative 6, so minus 6j. Then 6 minus 5 is 1, so 1k, divided by square root of distance. This distance, f, this is f over d first multiplier, then xi, delta xi minus delta xi plus delta yj plus delta zk. So we divide it by the distance. Square root of 3 square plus 6 square plus 1 square. Don't mind the sign because the square of negative is still positive. Therefore, in vector form, Q is 283.1i minus 566.2j plus 94.36k. Then in part C, we have a force directed from point A to point B. Then point B is supposedly at x is 2, so this is 2, y is also 2, 2, 2, then z is negative 4, backward, negative 4. So the magnitude is 420. So in part C, S is equal to, so again, this is 2, 2, negative 4. So 2 minus negative 3. By the way, point A, we have to write the coordinates. This is not part of the solution. The figure is this given white colored lines and this orange colored force and this one. So this is part of the solution. This is x negative 3 to the left, y is 1 upward, and z is forward 2. So negative 3, 1, 2. And this is 2, x is 2, y is 2, z is negative 4. So 2 minus negative 3, so magnitude for 20, quantity 2 minus negative 3, so 5i. 2 minus 1 is 1j. Then negative 4 minus 2, negative 6k divided by square root of 5 square plus 1 square plus 6 square. Simplifying, S is 266.7i plus 53.34j minus 320.0k Newton. So that's the answer for 6C. Then to answer this problem, let's combine, finding the resultant. So R is equal to force F plus force Q plus force S all in vector form. So that means we have to add the X components. So in A, it is negative 157.0 plus 283.1, then plus 266.7, and that is 392.8 I. Then 291.1 minus 566.2 plus 53.34, that would be negative 221.8 J. Then negative 187.1 plus 94.36 minus 320, that's negative 412.7, that K units newtons. The magnitude of this force is 611.4 newtons, square root of x component square plus y component square plus z component square. Then cosine theta x, remember, rx over r. Rx is 392.8, r is 611.4, so theta x, direction angle that the force makes with the positive x-axis is 50.02 degrees. Cosine theta y, ry over r. Ry is negative 221.8 here, original, then divide by r. Theta y is 111.3 degrees. Cosine theta z, when the value of the direction cosine is negative, the angle is obtuse. So cosine theta z is rz over r. Rz is negative 412.7, r is 611.4. So theta z is 132.5 degrees. So that's it for this part of the problem. Problem 7. Determine the magnitudes of the three forces F1, F2, and F3 given that they are equivalent to the force Fr, or the resultant force, in vector form, negative 1600I plus 1400J plus 1000K newtons. So let's have summation forces X. Let's express each force into vector form. F1 is directed towards the positive y direction, so F1 is just F1K, F1J rather. Magnitude of F1, then J. X and Z component 0. Then F2 is directed backward and to the right. So Fx is negative, Fy is positive. So the magnitude of F2 is F2. Then this is 25 degrees. So this is X component. Negative of F2 cosine 25 because it is directed opposite to the x-axis. So while Fy is magnitude of F2 sine of 25. So we factor out F2. So we have F2 quantity negative cosine 25 degrees I, then positive sine 25 degrees J for F2 in vector form. That's just the magnitude that is factored out. F3 is directed backward and upward, so it has no rightward or leftward movement, so 0 y component. So backward, angle 40 degrees, magnitude F3. So it is F3, factor out F3, negative, so negative. So F3 quantity negative cosine 40 degrees I. Then no y, then z positive, opposite to 40. So plus sine of 40 degrees K. So these are the three forces, F1, F2, and F3 expressed in vector form. And we then sum up forces along x. The x component of the resultant is negative 1600. The first force has no component, so we have negative F2 cosine 25. Negative F2 cosine 25 degrees. Then the x component of F3 is negative F3 cosine of 40 degrees. And we equate that to the x component of the resultant, which is negative 1,600. Call that equation 1. Summation versus y equals ry equals fry also. So f1 in vector form, that's the component along y. Then plus f2 sine of 25 degrees. f3 has no y component, so equals y component of the resultant 1,400. Call that equation 2. Then summation forces along z is rz. F1 has no z component, F2 has no z component, only F3. That's why the z component of F3, which is F3 sine 40 degrees, is equated to the z component of the resultant, 1,000. So F3 sine 40 degrees equals 1,000. From there, we can solve F3, 1,556 newtons. Having known F3, we can now compute in equation 1 the value of F2. So negative F2 cosine 25 degrees minus F3, which is 1,556, then cosine of 40 degrees equals negative 1,600. Solving for F2, F2 is 450.2 newtons. Then in equation 2, substitute the value of F1. We can solve for F2, rather, we can solve for F1. So in equation 2, F1 plus F2, which is 450.2 times sine 25 degrees equals 1,400. Solving for F1, F1 is 1,210 newtons to 4 significant figures. Problem 8. Find the forces P1, P2, and P3 so that the two forces are equivalent. So for two systems to be equivalent, the resultant force must be equal. So that means the x, the y, and the z components must also be equal because these are concurrent force systems. So the resultant is a force through the point of intersection of the three forces. So for system 1, this is system 1. Rx, so take note that the x-axis is this forward here, y to the right, z-axis upward. So Q1 has a component x, this is 3, that's 90 degrees hypotenuse. So 4 feet, hypotenuse is 5 feet because this is 3 feet. So the x component of 250 is positive. 250, x component of distance 3 divided by distance 5. So 250 times 3 over 5. The x component of Q2 is also positive. By the way, the square root of 34 is to be computed. Square root of 3 square plus 3 square plus 4 square. So that is square root of 34. So plus the x component of 300 Q2, which is equal to 300 times x component of distance, which is in this direction 3 divided by distance or hypotenuse, square root of 34. Then Q3 has no component, has no x component, it is purely rightward. So equate it to, or combined values, so it is 304.35 pounds, that's Rx. Ry, summation versus y for system 1, y component of 250 is 250 times 4 over 5. So, y axis is to the right, so 1 has no y component. Let's begin with Q2. The y component of Q2 is positive, magnitude 300. The y component of distance 4 divided by distance square root of 34. Y component of distance of Q2 again is 3 because it is rightward. 3 divided by distance square root of 34. Then plus Q3, which is purely towards the y-axis, positive y-axis, so plus 150 equals combining 304.35 pounds. Then RZ, which is upward, 1 and 2 have z components, 3 has no z component. The z component of Q1 is 250 times 4 over 5. The z component of Q2 is 300 times y component, z component of distance 4 divided by distance square root of 34. Combining, that's 405.80 pounds. For system 2, P1 is towards the positive x-axis, so it is just P1. P2 is in the opposite direction. Since this is 3 feet, we can reduce 3 and 3 to 1 and 1, and the hypotenuse is square root of 2. P3 is directed from this origin here to that corner there. There's no x component, and since this is 3 feet, so that's 3, that is 4 feet, so that's 4, and the hypotenuse is 5. So for system 2, Rx is, so this is already P1, positive, then minus P2 times x component of distance 1, then over distance square root of 2. P3 has no x component, it is on the vertical wall of the rear end. So that's why Rx is P1 minus P2 over square root of 2. And we equate that to the x component of system 1, of the resultant of system 1, 304.35. So simplifying, rewriting P1 minus P2 over square root of 5 is 304.35. Call that equation 1. Then Ry is summation forces along y. Y is to the right. P1 has no y component. P2 has negative y component. So Ry equals negative P2 times y component of distance 1 divided by distance square root of 2. P3 has positive y component. It is directed up and to the right. So plus P3, y component of distance is 3 divided by distance 5. So negative P2 times negative 1 over square root of 2. Then plus P3 times 3 over 5. That one. Then equals y component of the resultant, which is equal to the y component of the resultant in system 1, which is 304.35. So that is rewritten and call that equation 2. Finally, Rz is equal to the z component of resultant in part system 1. So here, P1 has no z component, P2 has no z component also, only P3 has z component. So P3 times 4 over 5 is equated to the z component of resultant in part 1 in system 1, 405.8. So again, R3, which is P3 times 4 over 5 equals 405.8. So from there, we can solve the magnitude of P3, 507.2 pounds. Then we substitute the value of P3 in equation 2 to solve for P2. So we have negative P2 over square root of 2 plus 3/5 of 507.2 pounds equals 304.35. Solving for P2, it is 0. And finally, substitute P3 and P1 in equation 1, or simply P2 in equation 1. So P1 minus P2 over square root of 2 is 304.35. Take note that P2 is 0. P2 is 0. So P1 minus 0 equals 304.35. So that means P1 is 304.35 pounds. But we write the answer, final answer to 4 significant figures, so 304.3 pounds. So next, problem 9 is the second to the last problem for this part. Determine the resultant force R, so it should be in vector form, that is equivalent to the forces exerted by the 3 tugboats as they maneuver the barge. Specify the coordinates of the point on the x-axis through which R passes. So you can solve the idea here is there are three forces. The two are initially concurrent here. So if we represent these two forces with a single force, resultant force, then the resultant of the first of 32 kilonewtons and 40 kilonewton loads combined with this force here, 32 kilonewtons, will definitely meet, intersect somewhere here. Then combining the two, we will have a single resultant. So for the first, I use parallelogram law. Then we apply law of cosines for the magnitude of R1. But you can solve for the magnitude of R1 by solving R1x and R1y by the x and y components of the 32 kilonewtons and the 40 kilonewton load. But I do that here by the parallelogram law. It's the same. I'll call this theta 1. These angles are now written. This is 125 degrees because the given here is 20 plus 35, 55 degrees. And remember that adjacent angles of a parallelogram are supplementary. So this is 180 degrees minus 55 degrees. That's why we get 125 degrees. So since this is 32, this is the free vector of the 40 kilonewton force, and the angle here is 125 degrees. So by cosine law, R1 square equals 32 square plus 40 square minus 2 times 32 times 40 cosine of 125 degrees. So R1 is 63.97 kilonewtons. So having found R1, we apply law of sines in this lower triangle. So we have 40 kilonewtons or 40 as cosine of quantity theta 1 plus 20 degrees is equal to R1, which is 63.97 as cosine of 125. Solving for theta 1 is 10.811 degrees. So if that is theta 1, this is also theta 1, 10.811 degrees. So let's call that y1, and since this is given, tangent of 10.811 degrees equals y1 over 36. y1 over 36. So y1 is 36 tangent 10.811 degrees, 6.875 meters. Then I transmit the resultant here, put it here. So take note there are two forces, 32 concurrent forces, 32 kilonewtons original and 63.97 kilonewtons, the resultant of this pair of forces here. Then we draw a parallelogram. This is the main diagonal, so that's the resultant of the entire original system, R. But this time I use component method. So Rx is 63.97 cosine of this angle. The cosine of this angle is also cosine of theta 1, 10.811. So Rx is 62.83 kilonewtons. Ry is equal to 32 kilonewtons already given. Then the y component of 63.97 is 63.97 sine of 10.811 degrees, so 44 kilonewtons. Therefore, our answer for R in vector form is 62.83 I plus 44 J quantity kilonewtons. Then for this distance, I'll call that XR. So supposedly the tangent of this angle is XR over Y1. In terms of the components, it is equal to RX over RY. So I'll use that ratio. So RX as to RY is the same as the angle here. So XR over Y1. Solving, because Rx is known, 62.83, Ry is also known, 44, XR unknown, Y1, 6.875. So XR is equal to 6.875 times 62.83 over 44. So we get XR equals 9.817 meters. So let's have the principle on cross product and the applications. We call this vector product also because the resulting product is another vector. And the geometric interpretation, it is perpendicular to the plane of the two vectors being crossed. So it is A cross B, vector A cross with B is AB sine theta. And cross product is not commutative because A cross B is the negative of B cross A. I'll demonstrate that here. So let's also interpret the result later. So that's the formula. So it this is the unit vector I, J, K, and applying the right thumb rule, when you position your forefingers towards the I direction and curl them counterclockwise towards the J unit vector J, then your right thumb, notice that your right thumb is pointing the K unit vector. So therefore, I cross J is 1 times 1 K. I cross J is 1 times 1 K. But I cross I is equal to magnitude of I1, magnitude of I1, then sine of the angle between them, since the angle between them is 0 and sine of 0 is 0, so therefore it is 0. Similarly, J cross J is 0, K cross K is 0 also. While I cross J is K, let me demo that. So I cross K, again, your forefingers pointing toward the I direction, curl them towards the J direction, your right thumb will point K. So that means I cross K, I cross J is 1 times 1 times sine of 90 degrees, and it is another vector in this direction. So K. Then J cross K, forefingers first pointing the J direction, then curl them towards the K direction in counterclockwise direction. Your right thumb will point the I direction. So that means that J cross K is equal to I. And J cross I, J, your forefingers is towards the J direction, curl them towards the I direction. Notice that your right thumb will point the opposite K direction. So that's why it's negative K. Then we have J cross K equals 1 times 1 sine 90. So it is I. While K cross J is negative I. K cross I, K, forefingers towards K, curl them towards I, your right thumb will be pointing the J direction. So that's why K cross I is J. That one. Then I cross K is negative J, of course. So that's it. Remember this cross product. But the best way to determine the cross product between two vectors is by arranging the components first. If it is A, the X, Y, Z components first, then B second, then unit vectors third, I, J, K. Then it's like evaluating the determinant of a 3x3 matrix or by basket method. Then you will get the resulting cross product in vector form. So if this is A, this is the demonstration that A cross B is another vector. So that is B. Your forefinger should be pointing here. Curl them towards B. Your right thumb will be pointing the direction of the resulting vector, which is perpendicular to the planes of A and B, as shown. So let's call that theta. So that is A cross B. It will have that resulting product, which is another vector. That's why it is a vector product, and it is perpendicular to the planes of A and B, as shown here. So the area of triangle defined by vectors A and B is 1/2 AB. So this one, take note that the area of a triangle is 1/2 product of adjacent sides. So that's why 1/2 magnitude of A, magnitude of B, times the sine of the angle between them. Or it is 1/2 base times height. If this is the height of the triangle is hypotenuse B sine of theta. So that's why it is 1/2 AB sine theta. Therefore, the area of the parallelogram, which is this, is times 2 of the area of this triangle. So the area of the parallelogram, therefore, we double that, is AB sine theta. So the magnitude of A cross B, that means because the right side is interpreted as the area of the parallelogram, the magnitude of A cross B is, because it is a vector, is the area of this parallelogram. So area of parallelogram is the magnitude of A cross B. Take note of that. So remember, this is a vector. So computing the magnitude of this vector, square root of x component square plus y component of vector square plus z component of vector square. That's interpreted as the area of this parallelogram. Then the other application would be this scalar tripole product. So having defined another vector perpendicular to A and B, and having interpreted that the magnitude of A cross B is the area of the parallelogram, this is the resulting vector A cross B. Then if we have an edge of the rhomboid, so take note that the area of this parallelogram is the magnitude of A cross B, absolute value of A cross B. If we have the edge here C to form that rhomboid, and this is the perpendicular distance of, or this is the height of the solid H, which is equal to hypotenuse C cosine of this angle between C and this A cross B. So if I call that beta, so this is the rhomboid and the altitude is H. Remember that volume of a rhomboid is simply area of the base times altitude, H. The area is the area of this parallelogram and the altitude is H, which can be computed as the component, scalar component of vector C in that direction, which is C hypotenuse cosine of beta, because that's 90 degrees. So the volume of rhomboid is area of base, which is parallelogram times H, and that can be derived if we have to obtain the dot product of this vector A cross B with C. So A cross B dot C, the expansion would be, this is the first vector, so we have equals magnitude of the first vector times magnitude of the second vector times the cosine of the angle between those vectors, remember from that product. And since we interpret this as area of the base, area of parallelogram, and C cosine beta is H, then therefore the geometric meaning of A cross B dot C is, it is the volume of this rhomboid. So again, it is the volume of the rhomboid, because this is area of base parallelogram, and times H, which is C cosine beta, the altitude. So as a demonstration, let's have this problem. The consecutive vertices of a triangle are A, -2, 3, -4, B, 1, -2, 5, and C, 4, 2, 1 meters. Find the area of the triangle. What is the vertex angle at B? So I'll end here. So let's have the demonstration of the cross product. So this is the problem. The consecutive vertices of a triangle are at A, negative 2, 3, 4, negative 4 meters, B, 1, negative 2, 5 meters, and C, 4, 2, 1 meters. Find the area of the triangle. What is the vertex angle at B? So I'll present two ways for computing the area. First, let's have the angle theta by dot product, the angle formed between AB and position vector AC. Now AB, so because this vector is directed from A to B, it is 1 minus negative 2, so 3i, then negative 2 minus 3, negative 5j, then 5 minus negative 4, 9, so 9k. That's RAB. The magnitude of RAB is square root of 3 square plus 5 square plus 9 square, square root of 115 meters. For RAC, A to C, 4 minus negative 2, so 6i, 2 minus 3, negative j, negative 1j, then 1 minus negative 4, 5k. Then the magnitude square root of 6 square plus 1 square plus 5 square, that is square root of 62 meters. Then BC, RBC, B to C, this is 4 minus 1, so 3i, then 2 minus negative 2, so positive 4j, 1 minus 5, negative 4k. The magnitude square root of 3 square plus 4 square plus 4 square, square root of 41 meters. We then apply that product, RAB dot RAC. So it is 3 times 6, 18, negative 5 times negative 1, positive 5, 9 times 5, 45, equals magnitude of RAB, which is square root of 115, times magnitude of RAC, which is square root of 62 cosine of theta. Solving for theta, it is 36.36 degrees. The area of the triangle is equal to 1/2 base times height. The base is AB, which is square root of 115. This is the height. The height, if we imagine a triangle here, right? Triangle. The hypotenuse is RAC, which is square root of 62, then times sine of theta. So square root of 62 sine of 36.36, that's the height. So area of triangle is 1/2 base times height. So height is RAC, square root of 62 times sine of, imagine a perpendicular is drawn from point C to perpendicular to AB. So the base is AB, which is square root of 115. The height is RAC, which is square root of 62 sine of theta. So area is 25.03 square meters. Another solution is from trigonometry by Heron's formulas. Area of triangle is square root of S times S minus A, S minus B times S minus C. Remember, S is half the perimeter. So S is 1/2 of the perimeter of the triangle. So side A is this RBC, which is square root of 41, plus side B opposite to B, RAC, which is square root of 62, then plus side C, which is AB, square root of 115, then half of that is S, 12.5 meters. Therefore, S minus A, 12.5 minus square root of 41, that's 6.0969 meters. Then S minus B is 12.5 minus square root of 62, that's 4.626 meters. Then S minus C is 12.5 minus square root of 115, 1.7762 meters. Substitute into the formula, we will get area of triangle 25.024 square meters. So they are practically equal. It's because of rounding off values. Then the third solution is by the cross product. Remember, if we cross AB with AC, the result is magnitude of RAB magnitude of RAC times sine theta, and we interpret this from the preceding principle on cross product that it is area of the parallelogram. Since the area of the triangle is only half of the area of the parallelogram, then the area of triangle is 1/2 of this result, RAB cross RAC. 1/2 the magnitude of the vector RAB, so this is RAB cross RAC. Then this is the solution for the cross product of AB and BC. Components of AB first, 3, -5, 9. Then copy 3 and -5, first two columns. Then AC 6, -1, 5, 6, -1, 5, copy 6, -1. Then this one, IJK, which is I and J. So RAB cross RAC is -5 times 5, -25i, then minus -9, so that means -25 plus 9 is -16i. For J, 9 times 6, 54j, minus 15, so that would be 39j. Then for K, -3k, minus -30, so that would be -3 plus 30, 27k. So therefore, the area of the triangle is 1/2 the magnitude of RAB cross RAC, interpreted as the area of parallelogram is square root of 16 square plus 39 square plus 27 square, and we will get area of triangle 25.03 square meters. So that's it for this demonstration or problem. Problem 10. A plane ABC passes through point A, 1, -1, 5, B, -2, 3, -4, and C, 3, 2, -1 meters. Find the distance of the point D, which is at 6, 7, 8 meters from the plane. Solve in two ways. Also compute the volume of the pyramid with base ABC and edges AD, BD, and CD. Also in two ways. So for the shortest distance of point D from the plane ABC, or from this triangle, I defined, so these are the points plotted, so that the cross product of this side and this position vector will be closer or almost in the same direction as that of point D. So I'll select the vectors CB and CA, so that this is the defining cross product of CB and CA, which will be near point D, so that the distance will be positive. So this would be perpendicular to the plane of ABC or perpendicular to CB and CA. So RCB in vector form, RC to B. So -2 minus 3, -5i, 3 minus 2, so 1j, -4 minus -1, -4 plus 1, -3k. Then for CA, 1 minus 3, terminal is A, 1 minus 3 is -2i, -1 minus 2, -3j, 5 minus -1, so positive 6k. Then for CD, RCD, we have 6 minus 3, 3i, 7 minus 2, 5j, 8 minus -1, so positive 9k. We then define RCB cross RCA, so then that with RCD to interpret that the result would be magnitude of RCB cross RCA times magnitude of RCD times cosine of the angle between them, which I denote here as B. So take note that we have this right triangle, therefore D is magnitude of RCD cosine of beta, which is from this expansion of the dot product. Therefore D is simply the result of RCB cross RCA dotted with RCD. So let's define RCB cross RCA first. RCB cross RCA, magnitudes of RCB, then magnitude of RCA, negative 2, negative components of RCA rather, negative 2, negative 3, 6, then unit vectors I, J, K. We copy the elements of the first two columns, so negative 5, 1, negative 2, negative 3, and ij. So the result would be is 1 times 6, so 6i, minus negative 3 times negative 3, so minus 9i is negative 3i. That's RCB cross RCA. Then for j, negative 3 times negative 2, 6. 6 minus 6 times negative 5, 6 minus negative 36, 6 minus negative 30 rather, is positive 36j. Then for k, negative 5 times negative 3, that's positive 15. 15 minus negative 2 times 1 is 15 plus 2. So that is 17k. Therefore, RCB cross RCA, this is RCB cross RCA, this is the vector RCD, 3i plus 5j plus 9k, then it is equal to magnitude of RCB RCA, which is square root of 3 square plus 36 square plus 17 square, and we interpret this as the perpendicular distance or nearest distance of point D from the plane ABC. So solving for D, because negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, 36 times 5, 180, 17 times 9 is 153. Then square root of 3 square plus 36 square plus 17 square is square root of 1594. We can now solve for D. It is equal to this value divided by square root of 1594, and that is equal to 8.115 meters. So for the other ways on the next slide. So for the other ways, remember that the general equation of a plane is ax plus by plus cz plus d equals 0. If you remove c, that's the general equation of a line. So for a plane, we extend it to the third dimension, which is plus cg, third component, then plus d equals 0. Dividing through by a, this leaves coefficient of x just 1, so x. Then b over a, we'll just denote that by another symbol, small letter b. C over a, small letter c. Then capital D over a, small letter d equals 0. So we use this reduced general equation of a plane. And the distance from a point to a plane is given by this formula, absolute value of ax1 plus by1 plus cz1 plus d over square root of a square plus b square plus c square, magnitude of the vector representing the equation of the plane. So this is the alternate solution. Then distance from a point to a line, absolute value of ax1 plus by1 plus constant c over square root of a square plus b square. So for a plane, we also extend it to the third component. So first at the point 1, negative 1, 5, this is at a, substitute into this equation here. So x is 1 plus b times y, negative 1, plus c times 5 plus constant d equals 0, simplifying negative b plus 5c plus d equals negative 1. Call that equation 1. Next, at point b, which is at negative 2, 3, comma, negative 4, so x negative 2 into this equation plus b times 3 plus c times negative 4 plus constant d equals 0. Simplifying 3b minus 4c plus d equals positive 2, equation 2. Then lastly, at point c, which is at 3, 2, negative 1, so x is 3 plus b times 2 plus c times negative 1 plus d equals 0, simplifying 2b minus c plus d equals negative 3. So solving equations 1, 2, and 3 simultaneously, we get b negative 12, c negative 17 over 3, and d 46 over 3. We then substitute into this general equation of a plane. x minus 12y minus 17 over 3z plus 46 over 3 equals 0. Then multiply everything by 3. So 3x minus 3y minus 17z plus 46 equals 0. So this is the equation of the plane through the points A, B, and C. Then finally, substitute into that formula for distance. So absolute value of 3. The point D is 6, 7, 8. So x1 is 6 minus 36, y1 is 7 minus 17, z1 is 8. Then plus constant 46 over square root of 3 square plus 36 square plus 17 square, magnitude of the A, B, and C of the plane. So computing, that's also 8.115 meters as before. Then finally, the volume of pyramid from solid geometry is 1/3 area of the base times height. The height in this case is the perpendicular distance of point D from the plane ABC or from the triangle ABC. Since the area of the triangle is 1/2 area of parallelogram and times distance or height, then the volume of the plane is 1/6 area of parallelogram times D. So since the area of the parallelogram is twice the area of the triangle, or simply this is the magnitude of the cross product of the two sides. So volume of pyramid is 1/6 volume of rhomboid. Remember, area of parabola times D is volume of rhomboid. So RCB cross RCA in the previous preceding slides is equal to RCB cross RCA, then that RCD is equal to magnitude of RCB cross RCA times RCD magnitude of RCD times cosine beta. And remember, this is the D. And this is absolute value of RCB cross RCA is area of parabola, and this is the height. Therefore, that's the volume of rhomboid. So the volume of pyramid using this formula here is 1/6. Quantity square root of area of parallelogram is the magnitude of this vector RCB cross RCA, and we obtain RCA cross RCA in the preceding slides. These are the components. So square root of 3 square plus 36 square plus 17 square, and we computed the height, or D, 8.115. So we obtained volume of pyramid 54 cubic meters. Then, if we use the result of this scalar tripole product, volume of paraboloid 1/6 quantity RCB cross RCA, then that RCD, take note that we evaluated the value of RCB cross RCA, and this was -9 plus 180 plus 153 RCB cross RCA dot RCD, rather. The result was scalar -9 plus 180 plus 153 from the preceding slide, and divided by 6, so the volume is also 54 cubic meters. So that's it for this video.